My guest today is Vandella Menifee. Vandella is retired from her career in the Department of Justice, first starting in the Atlanta Penitentiary System, then eventually transferring to the Grand Prairie Office Complex in 2005. Vandella has become a professional volunteer in her retirement, working locally in Grand Prairie and Arlington with local elected officials, nonprofits, and citizens to connect people to one another. She works hard at being a community advocate, and on the day of our recording, she had received a proclamation from Jeff Williams, the Mayor of Arlington. Vandella talks to me about her journey to Grand Prairie and her first job as a community advocate as an elementary school student fighting to keep her elementary school open. Vandella is a breath of fresh air, and I can't wait to speak with her again soon.
So I'm just so glad that you're here, and I've been wanting to talk to you for so long. You had a big day though this morning. Was it this morning that this happened?
Yes, I did.
Tell everybody
Actually, it
what
was
happened this morning.
I had Mayor Williams, God bless his soul, I love him dearly. I was his very first volunteer for his campaign when he won for mayor in 2015.
Oh,
So I actually met him at a Lunar New Year festival, and he asked, I asked him if he could come and speak at our son's school. They were having career day, and he owns a engineering firm. And I heard that, and I was like, oh, cool. I said, can you come and speak at my son's school? And he was like, yes, here's my business card. He's always so jovial. And I said, thank you so much. So I was talking to someone, and I overheard someone say, how's the campaign going? And he was like, oh, we're just getting started, but we should be kicking off pretty soon. It's a short campaign cycle. This was January, election is May, so that's pretty short.
mm-hmm.
So I said, is it, and afterwards I said, excuse me, sir. I said, I'm retired. I said, can I do anything to help you? I don't mind, you were willing to help and come and speak at our son's school. I'll help you on your campaign. He was like, oh, sure. Let me give you my campaign manager's number and she'll be in touch. So I got the information. I show up there at the 8 of Arlington, where we were officing out of. So I show up and I said, I'm here to volunteer. And then I said, for Jeff Williams' campaign. And I said, what is he running for? He said, mayor. I was like, you are kidding me. I said, against Dr. Clark. I said, good luck, but I told him I would volunteer, so here I am. And the rest is history.
So
like,
you had
seriously, he's been incredible. Every time I have needed something, because I'm a Grand Prairie citizen, I always tell people I'm the Tri-City person
mm-hmm.
when it comes to volunteering, because I'm Grand Prairie citizen, Mansfield ISD, but our kids' school is physically located in Arlington. So, and I live, like, I can walk from Grand Prairie where I live to Arlington. What? You walk all the way to Arlington? I sure do. It's really probably like 30 minutes.
That's funny.
So yeah, I like telling people I walk from Grand Prairie to Arlington because they have a visual of like the farthest end of Grand Prairie to like the farthest end of Arlington, and I walk that far, but it's always a good conversation.
So you have your own day today, right? It's proclamation. You got a proclamation day.
Yes, I got a proclamation for volunteering and supporting the city of Arlington. The way that it reads, like during his entire, I guess, period, being the 30th mayor is what he was. And so, yes. So
that's amazing.
That is amazing.
You're kind of a legend that a lot of people that maybe work and don't do a whole lot of stuff. And when I say work, I mean like still work like a job, like a 9-to-5 job or something where it's hard to get out and volunteer as much as you do, but you do so much. And I don't know that people outside of that realm, know just how many things you do. And so I just can't believe you basically are a professional volunteer now that you're retired from what you did as a career. And so now you have a new career of volunteering. But what did you do before this? So in your job, what did you do before you retired?
Before I retired, before I get into what before I retired, I always like to clarify when people hear volunteer, I'm a different type of volunteer. I'm a professional volunteer. So when most people hear volunteer, they hear the physical part of volunteer. And I'm the kind of volunteer is I connect people with needs with people that wants and vice versa. So I don't have to physically do anything. It's just like if Jenna has an organization, the powerful organization of Jenna P. Corps, let's say it's a foundation, and you provide, say, clothes and food to needy people, you would contact me and say, Vandella, I have someone that has donated these clothes and this food to me, and I need to find an organization or families to give them to. I was like, okay, Jenna, I think of it, and I don't know, I mean, God has truly blessed me to be able to do this. I called a couple of organizations, said, Jenna's foundation has been gifted or donated clothes and food. Call Jenna, she's going to be able to help you. And that's what I do. So I could actually be a consultant and get paid for what I do, but I'm a volunteer, so I don't get paid for what I do. And that's the difference between a consultant and a volunteer. So I tell people I've truly been blessed because I can do everything from my couch with a text message. Because I was seriously injured in 2 accidents, which has in essence almost rendered me disabled sometimes. The first accident was in February 2017 when I went to visit my dad. He was on hospice. He's passed away he passed away in 2018. I was T-boned by a pickup truck, and the severity of the accident was so bad that the rear tire was knocked off, the gas fuel line was knocked off, and the rear passenger seat was indented until the middle of the back seat, the back door, the rear passenger door was. And the police officer on duty said, had I had gas in the car, it would have exploded. But it wasn't my time. And then the day after my 56th birthday, everybody was talking about Corona 2020, how bad it's been. December 30th, my husband and I were rear-ended by an 18-wheeler.
Oh my goodness.
And yes, we were. And I tell you, when I say that God protects fools and angels, I'm one that he has protected. Because my husband said the driver hit us into the intersection, and we were in Dallas, and the cars went around our vehicle. We did not get hit, and traffic was in both directions. And we were at a stoplight, and he rear-ended us. So the light was green, and we didn't get hit. The cars went around us.
Wow.
And yes, we sustained serious injuries, but I am alive. I didn't know, I mean, I have broken bones, but they didn't pierce my skin. I didn't bleed any blood. So the severity of my injuries versus what it could have been, it wasn't my time. So I tell people, I stay home when it rains. I stay off the street because both of my accidents occurred on rainy days. So people now know that if it's raining, don't expect to see Vandella.
That's why you texted me earlier. You even said it's raining, and so let's do Zoom.
Yes.
I get it.
That's why. Otherwise, I would have been honored to be graced in your presence.
Oh, I would have loved. There will come a time. I have a feeling that this will not be the last time that I talk to you.
Absolutely. Wow.
So you've done that's been a lot that's happened just in a very short period of time. But
in a very short period of time. Yes.
Yeah. So, but this is,
but it allows me to do what I do when I am having problems with my vision, my light sensitivity or noise sensitivity. I can still turn off my phone and do whatever it is in a couple of days. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
So that gives me the flexibility of still allowing me to help people.
Yeah.
Even though I may be in my bed, on the couch, in the recliner, or in a dark room, and I can turn my screen down and the font is really big. So it still allows me to help people. So people think, man, she is everywhere. And literally, I'm not. That's why I tell people it's because of other people. Because I'm just a conduit that I allow the skills and resources that I have connections with people. And I know that it's God that has allowed me to do all these things and put wonderful people in my life, because I couldn't be the person that I am without the people that I am surrounded by.
Yeah.
Prime example, Mayor Williams, Mayor Jensen, now Mayor Evans in Mansfield,
Mm-hmm.
former Mayor David Cook. All of those people allowed me to be able to, if I needed something, I can reach out to them.
Right.
And that has made me the person who I am, and I'm humbled by it.
Well, so tell for people that one of the reasons that I started doing this podcast was exactly kind of similar to what you're talking about, is I was like, I know all these people that I have conversations with that maybe most citizens might not get a chance to have conversations with all the time. And I'm like, I would love for people to hear the conversations that I have and learn how to become more involved, or maybe even, meet people that are in their community, the local elected officials, the leaders of the nonprofits, and how can we bring more attention to that? And that's really what I started to do. So, but I think that some people can be a little intimidated by maybe putting themselves in the middle of that kind of situation. How do you even start something like that? So maybe, because you're not from Grand Prairie, that's not where you're from. So
No.
how did you get to be, or not even from Grand Prairie, you're not from Texas, but get to be in the middle of something like that and get to be so connected and learn? How did you start? What kind of attitude does that take?
Attitude is everything. And I truly believe that, because when you have a positive attitude, people want to be around you. And people don't want to be around, even when I'm down, I try to still have a positive attitude. When I'm in pain, I still try to have a positive attitude. And people ask you, how are you doing? Nobody wants to hear that you're in pain. So I always say I'm doing fine. Nobody wants to hear my long list of, oh, I can't see, I'm losing vision in my left eye, and I'm having these ocular migraines, and I can't move my neck. I have to move my body. If I went down the list of the pain that I was actually experiencing, they're like, okay, I gotta go. So why? I'm still living. So that's what I'm grateful for. If I can wake up every day, no matter how I'm feeling, I still try, just like my husband say, you should always have a grateful heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful.
Yes, that's very,
So
very true.
that's what I'm grateful for. Yes.
So you
But back
moved.
to your original question.
Yeah.
Yes, I moved from Atlanta. I lived in Atlanta for 18 years, and I retired from the Department of Justice, Federal Bureau of Prisons, and the government downsized in 2005. So they abolished the position that I was in Atlanta. So I had to find another job. I didn't want to go to Coleman, Florida, to the complex that they were opening, because of the cost of living. I didn't want to live in Florida where Mickey was and having to pay all of that.
Mm.
That wasn't desirable for me. And I didn't want to go to Washington, D.C. My sons were at the time were 1 and 3. And then my youngest son actually turned 2 the day we moved to Grand Prairie. And so I had to make a decision where I wanted to go. So I was like, okay, they're opening up a complex in Grand Prairie. I said, Grand Prairie? That sounds like they would have tumbleweeds, but okay, I'm good with that. I grew up in Chicago. I was the only one wearing cowboy boots. My friends now tell me that I jinxed myself because I grew up in Chicago and I was the only one that wore cowboy boots.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I love cowboys. Yes, so here I am, inner city girl, wearing cowboy boots. Yeah, I loved cowboy boots. So when they downsized, I had to decide where we wanted to live. I didn't want to have a long commute. So because it was a Grand Prairie Office Complex, I said, I want to live in Grand Prairie. And at the time, Mansfield had an innovative school district. I knew eventually I would want to put my kids in school and not pay for private school. So we were able to live in Grand Prairie in Mansfield ISD. And that was a compromise for me. And that's how I became a Grand Prairie citizen. And I love being a Grand Prairie citizen. Everywhere that I go, no matter where I am, I was blessed to be part of a blood drive where we over 1,000 donors, and it was over 3,000 lives for North Texas will be saved as a result of that.
Wow.
So they asked me to do an interview, and I was talking about all these people that I met from all these different places, different countries, like literally from around the world, and it was streamed around the world. And I told them I've met people from everywhere, including Grand Prairie. That means me. So the world now knows Grand Prairie, Texas. So
I love that.
I love Grand Prairie. I do. Everybody knows if I'm anywhere and they're talking about different places, I scream out, "And Grand Prairie." So, yes.
Well, as someone that was raised here, that makes me happy that somebody that's someone that didn't grow up here but got here as fast as they could, so to speak. But
yes.
You know, yes. It's changed a lot, and since I was a kid, and it's now that I've become an adult and I've understood what it is about this city that makes it unique. You know, it's something that I'm really proud of. And I was recently doing some interviews from some of the candidates because I'm a real estate agent. We were trying to figure out who we're going to endorse for the candidacy. And oh, there you are, and you're wearing my favorite color. I love that. Yes. But I was talking to some of these candidates, and I was talking with other agents, and we were interviewing some of the people from Grand Prairie, and we get off the phone call with these candidates, and they go, "What is going on in Grand Prairie? Everybody down there seems to love it. They all, it seems like such a unique place. Like, what are they doing so well?" And I was kind of taken aback, and with realizing that I'd maybe taken for granted just how cool and unique of a city that Grand Prairie has certainly become. And
yes.
Yeah, so I don't know. You've lived in a lot of places. Do you feel that way? Not a lot of places, but you've lived in a couple of places that are not like Grand Prairie.
Yes.
So
no, I attribute it to the community as a whole and the volunteers that make the community, because there are so many wonderful organizations and people willing to come out and support, no matter what it is. Somebody from Grand Prairie, there's going to be people to show up and help whatever the cause is. And that's what I love so much about Grand Prairie. Mm-hmm. No matter what it is, no matter what you want to do, or whatever your needs are, there is an organization out there willing to help you. And if they can't help you, they're going to find you help outside of wherever it is that they can find the help to support you. And I think that's that's the greatest thing that can be attributed to Grand Prairie. It's the bedroom community that really isn't a bedroom. It's Grand Prairie is huge,
Mm-hmm.
but it still feels like everyone knows everyone because we're always together at something.
That's true.
And that's why.
And you're
Yes.
right. I just got done talking to Monica, who is the new director over at Pregnancy Resource Center, and I've talked to Tammy Chan, over obviously everybody knows
Yes.
who Tammy Chan is. And I was talking about that because I was talking about just that, about the connectivity of all the nonprofits. And I was on the Housing and Community Improvement Commission, and we were responsible for funneling some of the federal money that the city gets and then into some of the nonprofits. And from there, I got to learn a lot more about just how connected all the nonprofits actually are to one another in terms of how they voluntarily work together. Nobody forces them to do that. Like, it's not like the nonprofits have to work together and help each other. But in Grand Prairie, they do it purposely and intentionally with one another. And I think that that's so unique.
Yes, it is. They are true partners.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about people that come together, it's not my organization, we partner. What can we do together? You having a fundraiser? Yes, we're going to help support your fundraiser. I have a family that needs this. Okay, you call this agency and talk to this person. They're willing to help you because they are true partners.
They are. And, nonprofits and the way that nonprofits can make a dollar go further than anything else, and the way that they can, our nonprofits have very specific intentions, which I think is really important. If you have a lot of nonprofits with very specific reasons for existing, and then you can kind of help and help the other person. As an example, Lifeline helps specifically kids that are struggling with homelessness, but they're within GPISD schools, because their intention is not just homelessness as a broad term in terms of everybody, but it's keeping kids in school. Well, then we also have a homeless organization that helps with the adults that don't maybe not have children. That's really specific. And I think that when communities can be really specific with their nonprofits, the money goes so much further, and there can be so much more help with the people that need it.
Yes, I totally agree. And I think knowing who the resources, the people that have the resources and the organizations, and they do so well on awareness. They really do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think the organizations are so successful, because people make other people aware of the resources that are available.
Yeah, and Grand Prairie, one of the unique things, and I talk about this all the time. You mentioned that Grand Prairie is a really large town. It's large geographically, and it's like long and skinny. And so you've got the top, the north side, then you've got the south side, and making sure that people on the south side know the things that are going on with the north side, especially with nonprofits and with charities, is not always the easiest thing to do. And so it requires people to give out, to bring awareness. But how did you get to be doing this? Like, how did that start?
I could probably say when I was in third grade, maybe. Being a PK, you involved in everything. If like a preacher's kid, you're the usher, you collect the offering, you're you count the offering, you're the secretary, you make bank deposits, you sing in the choir, you play the drums, you do everything, and you learn these skills being a preacher's kid. So when our school, when I was in elementary school, they wanted to close our school. Not that there was anything wrong with our school, they just wanted to close our school and bus kids to another school. And so I didn't want to ride the bus to another school because I was taking other kids to school, and I was in third grade taking kids to school that was in kinder.
Oh, wow.
I laugh about that now, because imagine having to walk from, say, Roma's, probably to fire station number 1,
Okay.
And then down the street, probably not as far. No, don't go there. Say from Roma's all the way to Sonics, and then walk to Park Admin, and
Oh
Park
my.
Admin would be the school. I did that every day.
And you
Yes,
were how old?
I was in the third grade, which means I was what, 7 or 8 years old.
Wow.
Yes, and I had 5 kids that I was responsible for.
Oh my word.
Hold hands.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, I did.
So helping you's
But
just really been in your blood, really your entire life.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
it really has my entire life. So when they wanted to close our school, I was like, okay, we're going to make some signs, and then we're going to march around the school and tell them, save our school, SOS, save our school. And so, and we did, and we got some parents involved, people at church involved, and the news came, and it made a big story at the time, and they didn't close our school. And my cousin eventually was the principal at that school at one time.
That is like the coolest story
Yes.
ever.
Yes, it's still open. It's a magnet school now.
So were your parents like really supportive of you being like an advocate at the age of the at third grade?
Yes. Yes, they were. Yes,
That's really,
they were.
I think that that's so important because I was just talking to Martin over at Bon Air. We were talking about mentorship and about teaching the younger generations how to be involved and how to care about things. And it takes the parents and the adults in the community to really teach kids how they need to care. Number one is just care and get involved in the community, but also how to do it responsibly in a way that's like helping the community be better. And if you don't have those adults that support that, kids are just kind of walking around aimless. They don't really know what they're doing. So that's really cool. You had a supportive parents, and plus they were in the church. So of course they're going to be like, oh, you're going to do something great.
But for me, I just love getting people involved. I always tell the story, and I don't care who it is. I'm always, if I'm making a reservation, I ask people about, have they volunteered? Well, what's that? What do I need to do? I said, you can volunteer by reading to kids. You can sign up by doing a blood drive in your office. You can sign up there's so many things that you can do. So, like, if I call someplace and we start having a good conversation, I was like, do you volunteer? I just asked randomly. So one time I was getting some points added to my account from Starbucks. I only go to Starbucks if somebody takes me. So, but we always buy gift cards for teachers for Christmas. So we get all these points. And so I add them, after I get the receipt. So I was talking to the guy. Where was he? He was in some country. I'm having a concussive head injury moment. So he was in another country, and his English wasn't great, but it was pretty good. He could read the script as to what he needed to say, how to apply the points. I said, do you read to the kids in your community? And he was like, why? What do you say? I said, why don't you teach them your script? I said, it's in English. Teach them that in English so that they'll know some English. And I said, that way they'll have a desire to want to learn more. And he was like, oh, I never thought about that. I said, promise me you're going to do it. He said, yes, I am. He was all excited. He said, yes, I am. I said, you have the script. Teach them.
That's all it takes sometimes is one person recognizing that something that you do that you see is so routine and just something that it could actually be useful for other people. And it seems so easy and it seems so silly to even acknowledge that. But when you have people that have never thought that even the ability to read could be something that is useful to others, that's all it takes sometimes. It's just that little spark.
Yes. That little spark. And he was so excited. He didn't think about it.
Well, most people don't.
And so, yes.
Most people
No, they
don't.
don't. He
And
didn't give me any extra points, but he, but he's going to go and teach some kids in his country how to read the script from Starbucks. So
I mean,
I was happy.
that's so awesome. And I think that touches on such a good point. Is once you start to, first of all, when you know where the areas that exist within your community, where you know where they need help, it's a lot easier for you to go, you know what, I know somebody that can do that really well, or stuff like that. And the other thing too, I think that people think volunteering is this huge big job that you have to commit all this time to, or you have to do it for a long term. It's just as easy as saying you'll do it once, and sometimes
Yes.
that's all you have to do.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be
And
a
it
big job.
counts.
It does
On
count.
our count, like when I was on the PTA, I would tell the parents, I don't need you to stay all day, because in their minds, when you ask them to volunteer, I don't have time. I was like, I haven't even asked you. Can you just give me 15 minutes in the morning? Stand at the door and say hello.
Right.
Okay, Vandella, 15 minutes. And then I start talking about other things. Okay, can you volunteer on this? And next thing you know, they're all in. And the kids are happy, everybody's happy. And so it starts with just a minimal amount. What can you give me 15 minutes?
Right.
That's all I'm asking. Just 15 minutes.
Right. And it's intimidating. It can be really intimidating for people. And
yes,
because,
it can.
Yeah, we talked about this when I was talking to Monica at the Pregnancy Resource Center. We were talking about the different ways that you can volunteer, because it's not just about one thing. There's so many ways that people's gifts can be used for all kinds of different things. And I mean, you're talking about something that, being a professional volunteer where you are connecting people together. That's an important thing as well, but it's out of the box thinking. That's like something that most people don't consider when they think about volunteering. They don't think about doing something like that, but it can be there's so many different ways that God uses our talents. And so I don't know, talk a little bit about that.
I truly believe that everything happens for a reason, and I don't take anything for granted. And I try to be grateful and humble, because I believe when you acknowledge the small things and say please and say thank you, because a lot of people don't. And I try to always, no matter where, even as an administrator, when I was working in the prison system, I always try to connect to the secretaries, because they know everything. And people, they're like invisible people. And when I started volunteering, I always tried to find out who the custodial staff was. You know why? Because they know and see and hear everything.
Now you sound like Rick Harold.
And
Rick Harold always talks about that. He always say, the maintenance crew and the people that go and take care of all the parks, they're the ones that I really want to talk to.
Those are the people you want to talk to, because they know everything, and people see them as the invisible people, like they can't hear or they can't see.
Right.
And yes, it's like, oh, that's just the cleaning person. They have eyes and ears.
Right.
And I love communicating with them, because I'm always doing something, and I never wanted to put an extra burden on a teacher to meet me at school early, can you stay late? Or I could do whatever I needed to do. I would get the permission from the principal, and I said, don't worry about it. I have coverage. I'll be able to get into the building. I just need your permission to. And of course, custodial staff is always going to be there. I'd send them a message, call them. Can you meet me? So, oh yes, they unload stuff for me, pack stuff up for me, find stuff for me that I've left in another classroom that I didn't even realize I had lost. I put it in your closet, and it's in behind this box, and thank you.
Yes.
But it's because of the way you treat people.
100%. And looking at everybody's life as not even a life, it's looking at everybody's talents as though they have value, and realizing that everyone does have talents and gifts that
Yes.
fit into so many different places.
Yes.
When you start to look at people like that and you think, okay, this person has a real knack for talking. This person has a real knack for, and it doesn't even have to be singing or talking. It's like this person really knows how to, I don't know, organize. Something as simple as that. It can, all of it is
this
valuable.
person knows, yes, it's all valuable. This person knows how to line up the chairs when we're going to have a meeting. I like my chairs lined up like soldiers. People know that.
Right.
So that's important to me. So Ms. VanDella, I got the chairs for you. That matters. And even when I was on campus with the kids, I would have what I would call my ambassadors. I was like, okay, if you're going to be my ambassador, you have to do this, 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 and this. And I didn't care about your grades. Kids want to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always try and gravitate to the kids that wasn't with the popular kids,
Mm-hmm.
and tell them, okay, can you do this for me? Well, I can't because of this. Okay, can you do this for me? Or when I have this meeting, can you just make sure I get all of my pens and my paper? Make sure everything is collected. And I would find people like once a month and have like a lunch for order pizza or something that was donated or sponsored for my ambassadors. And the kids loved it. And I was like, okay, you're my recruiters. So whenever I would have an event, I will let my ambassadors recruit for me. And it was like, I have another friend that wants to be an ambassador, Ms. VanDella. Okay, tell them to show up. This is what we're doing. We did 10 on Tuesdays. It started out with just 3 kids picking up trash, 10 pieces of trash on Tuesdays. It grew to probably like 30 kids that would meet me.
Wow.
Before school.
Yes. School.
Before school. Yes.
Don't tell me that kids don't care, because they do care.
Kids care. They kids care.
They just, nobody ever asks them.
Nobody ever asks, and people want to be asked. They're not going to wait for you to call. People want to be asked.
They do.
And I don't mind asking. And I'm not offended. I tell people that volunteer, if you tell me no and you can't, don't feel bad, because I'm going to ask you for something else the next time.
Right, exactly. I find this to be the truth whenever I started doing this podcast, and people, you're used to interviewing and you've been in that type of forum before. A lot of people have never done an interview. So number one, they have no idea what to expect. But when I say, would you mind talking to me? And they say, I don't really have anything interesting to say, or I'm not really that interesting of a person. I say, that's not true. And I wouldn't be asking you if I didn't think you were. And I ask everyone because I think everyone has something valuable to say. And and sometimes it takes a little bit of poking and prodding, but then they come on and they're like, well, that wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, or that lasted, and so, and then it's now that's one new thing that they can do, that they've done. And that's an experience that they can talk about. And the same is true for getting people involved in doing things, because my dog is walking around. Oh, I was like, what is going on? There's a shadow. But when people experience that they can do something that they didn't realize that they could do before, it just opens up their mind that much more to being able to want to do it again. And I think kids are like that a lot.
Yes, they are. They really are. And they want to be able to tell their friends or tell someone, I did this.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and then they have provided value to, in that case, they've cleaned something up. They're more involved, and now they're more engaged, and now they're more invested. Invested will be the right word.
Yes.
Their school or whatever they're doing that for. I know we only have a couple more minutes. We're going to have a whole nother time where we do another episode and talk, but like, if someone wanted to get started with getting to know, and I'll say elected officials, because I feel like sometimes they're the most intimidating. If someone wanted to get to know their local official, what would you tell them, having known people that are in elected office? as easy as it is to get in touch with an elected official and have a conversation.
Just get involved. They have community events regularly.
Mhm.
Like they have attend a city council meeting. That is the opportunity for you to meet every elected official that runs our city.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Attend a city council meeting, and once you become a regular, or just introduce yourself and tell them if you have anything going on, I'd like to volunteer.
That is a
And
great
that's
opportunity.
all. Yes, it is. It is. You have all of the council members there at that moment.
Yeah. And sometimes
And most of the time they come out early, or they may stick around just to meet whoever is there.
and if you've never been to a city council meeting, that's something you might not know, but that's as simple as it is. If you really want to get involved and have a voice in your local community, I love that, is go introduce yourself and say, do you need anything? I'm here. Do you have anything coming up? I can volunteer for you. And
Yes.
They will call you. Trust me.
They will call you. Yes, they will call you.
And now you've taken down that veil of like that barrier where you might not know them.
Yes.
And that's really what we need, is more people to do that. But I just appreciate you. I think you're so cool. Like I would love to sit down. I would love to talk more about your experience with your career before you did this. I'm sure you have some very interesting stories.
Yes, I do. I loved every day of my career. I started out as a correctional officer, and not realizing my goal was just to go there and work like 6 months, enough to save money to get me a red Corvette, and then go back to Chicago. I ended up not getting the Corvette and retiring.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. I love that so much. Man.
Yes.
Well, Vandella, it was such a pleasure. I'm going to contact you again, because we need to sit down and have a part 2.
Yes, definitely. We'll talk about my career. I tell people this volunteering is the second phase of my life. My professional life for 25 years was with the Bureau of Prisons. And I can't wait until next year. I will have been with my husband as many years as I lived without him.
Oh, so that's wonderful.
Yes.
Oh, that's exciting.
Next week, we will have been together 28 years.
28 years.
So next year, 29, half of my life will have been spent with him.
Oh, that is so amazing. That is awesome. Congratulations for that. That's a feat in and of itself.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And when I tell people, and I'm going to let you go after this, my husband, I could not be the person that I am because he truly supports me unconditionally. Mm-hmm. And no matter what it is, he has supported me. And he is such a behind the scenes kind of person, but he always asks me questions and what I can do better, and can do this, and what about that? Did you think about this? Just giving me ideas to improve the relationships, that I have. Or he'll remind me, well, what about this organization? Don't they do? I was like, yo, yeah, they do. And he's just such a wonderful resource. And we have been together that long. We met in jail, that I always like to tell people. And 2 weeks later, we were living together, playing footsies, and we've been playing footsies ever since.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yes.
Well, that's awesome that that's an engaged person right there. Somebody that's really engaged.
Yes.
What their partner is doing, and
and we've never had an argument. People like, what?
Really?
Is that possible? Not one. My husband has the personality, like I wake up laughing, I go to sleep laughing, like seriously.
Man, now I want to meet him.
He does not get upset. He doesn't let anything upset him. He was like, we'll figure out a way. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it. It's not that bad. We'll figure out a way. And that's how he lives. we'll
Oh,
figure out a way.
that's a great way to spend a lifetime with someone, is like
It
that.
is.
Yeah.
It is.
Well,
It
good.
is. Well,
Well,
thank you so much for this opportunity to spend this time with you and your patients. And I'm going to, I guess we'll wait for part 2.
oh, I'm
And
down.
I
Like, I'm
can't wait
serious.
to
Yes.
meet you personally.
Yes, and very much. I'm looking forward to that. I think that hopefully all this pandemic stuff is we're on the right track, and we'll all be around each other soon. Although we would have today, but but that's okay. That's Zoom comes in as a secondary way to make stuff happen. So, but next time.
Yes, it does.
All right,
Yes.
bye,
Well,
Vandella.
thank you very much. Bye. Have a great evening.
Bye, you too.
Bye.